Indians getting set to start a 4-game series in Minnesota, and now none. That's right, none of the Indians' starting rotation is available for the next couple of weeks. Aaron Civale on the shelf for 4 to 5 weeks. He won't be able to help the Indians in the rotation. Yesterday down in Columbus, though, a guy who might be getting the call back up, Triston McKenzie, pitching for the Clippers, and nicely enough, it was Roberto Perez who was on a rehab assignment catching him, and McKenzie actually looked pretty good. Number of strikeouts for the Columbus Clippers, and trying to get back and help the Indians. He could be a guy they look at Monday to slot in and start in that series opener after the Twins series. John, they need Tristan McKenzie to get things straightened out and come up and help the big league team. He looked pretty good last night.
Well, he did look good. He's still dealing with some command issues, and the 4 walks are a concern to me still in that rehab assignment. The fact is, Tristan Mckenzie is down in Columbus because of his command and because he doesn't have a second or third go-to strike. So that fastball, it's a quality fastball. But as an outing goes on, you have got to be able to throw that slider. You've got to be able to throw that changeup for a strike and in the right location. Now, it is ironic that Roberto Perez is in said rehab assignment, and you cannot fully account for what Roberto Perez means from a defensive standpoint and from a game management standpoint. You're already dealing with a ton of issues as a pitching staff if you're Terry Francona and Carl Willis. You need Roberto Perez to be behind the plate to try to manage through that, because he knows these guys better than anybody does back there. So for Tristan Mckenzie, do I think that he's as good as any option that the Indians have right now in their rotation? Yes. But when you walk everybody in sight, and that's what led to your second departure down to Columbus, they have to make sure that when they bring him back up, if he's getting hit hard, he's getting hit hard. But you cannot be walking people. And I talked with Tristan Mckenzie last year a little bit about this and asked him about the atmosphere when you are inside a rotation that features Shane Bieber, Zach Plesac, at the time Mike Clevenger, and Aaron Civale, and if that was a challenge, because you know what the standard is. Well, right now they just need Tristan Mckenzie to be himself. And they need him back up here. There's no qualms about it. They need him back with the big club because the Indians are starving for anybody to keep their boat steady. It can stay above the water here for the next couple of weeks because the competition level of these next couple of series still isn't particularly great. You got the Twins and the Tigers coming up, but I got to tell you, July starts with a bang. It starts with the Houston Astros, and it continues. It is quite the gauntlet of a July schedule. And I am concerned about this rotation going forward against that schedule. And that's why Tristan Mackenzie's role is so big.
Yeah, and you, we've kind of alluded to it. So Roberto Perez is on a rehab assignment, trying to make his way back. A couple of at-bats last night in Columbus. Pretty uneventful at-bats as things go. Did draw a bases-loaded walk, got an RBI right there. But the main thing is, as soon as his finger can handle it, remember he had a broken finger, as soon as his finger can handle it, his rehab's done. They just want to make sure the finger is ready to go, and he will be up here because they need him to handle this young pitching.
Young would be the way to describe it. That's a good way to put it. And I think that for Roberto Perez, he's as good of a defensive catcher as you're going to find in Major League Baseball. That's one thing that when we attach the Indians' success to certain qualities, that's the quality that I think could be at the front of the table a little bit more. So the moment that Roberto Perez, if they believe he can handle things, he's going to be back up with the Indians. The fact is that Austin Hedges hasn't been the answer to the problems, and that the Indians don't have much of a catching ensemble of guys that can handle what Roberto Perez can handle behind the plate. Look, they're not getting a lot of offense from the catcher position to begin with. Roberto Perez, his bat is not what he's known for, but he is a game manager, and he is a backstop that the Indians can count on day in and day out. And that's why they need him back up with the club. And frankly, they need Franmil Reyes. The fact is, for the Indians to be at their best, and look, they're 2.5 games out as we talk right now. The Cleveland Indians were planning on Franmil Reyes and Jose Ramirez to be at the forefront of their offense, and they've been trying to piece it together without Reyes. And some guys have turned it on. But they need Perez and Reyes back ASAP, because if they're going to handle what they have coming up, Oakland a couple of times, Houston a couple of times, Tampa Bay a couple of times, all in July, they're going to need those guys.
Yeah,
they're going to need them ASAP.
Without question. And just before we move on, we're going to move on to the Cavs. So this is what the rotation looks like. It's J.C. Mejia, Cal Quantrill, Sam Hentges, Eli Morgan, and then to be determined, which would be Monday, it's probably going to be Tristan McKenzie. That would coincide with pitching on the 5th day when he pitched yesterday.